different kill switches in the car. So, the safety driver has to be alert, and anytime something goes wrong, as soon as you touch the wheel, you have control.
So it's like a student driver kind of thing?
Yeah, basically. I mean, you hit the brake, you hit the throttle, you hit the kill switch in the middle, you hit the steering wheel, all of a sudden you, the human driver, are back in control, the computer's offline. So, I maybe I should have made that clear earlier. I apologize. I didn't mean to say that that we like put the car in the middle of the road and then got out of the car and just said, "We hope we see you in San Francisco." No, there was a safety driver in the car all the time. There will be, for all the work we're doing with students, one of the big open questions for Uber and for anyone else working on this is like, how soon can we pull the safety driver out of the car for real production vehicles that are carrying passengers around? And how do we know how safe they're going to be? It's kind of an open question. I think it'll be fun if we can get it done soon, but obviously we want to get it done safely because it could really set us back a long way if we have a lot of really bad accidents for lack of a safety driver. Yeah.
So in the particle filter, is every point in the point cloud a landmark, or do you guys do some clustering to say this is a tree and then we're gonna?
Right. Yeah. So great question. So the question is, we have this LiDAR point cloud, and is every single point like a landmark that we're trying to match, or is there clustering? There's definitely clustering. You couldn't match all the points; it would take too much computational power, and frankly, they wouldn't all correspond to anything useful. What you're trying to do is to figure out how far you are from distinct landmarks. And to be honest, we rely a lot on the Autoware open source packages to do that localization and clustering. I actually don't know too much of the detail about how they do that. It's kind of more you plug it in and they do some clustering. One of the things we're thinking of building is an advanced localization, advanced sensor fusion elective, where we deal with a lot of clustering algorithms for point clouds and exactly how you do that. But I haven't spent too much time actually at the moment yet thinking about that. Kind of rely on Autoware. Yeah.
How do you see the state of the industry going forward in terms of like jobs, and specifically for people who maybe don't have as much of a computer science background but do the Udacity degree, and even for people who do have a background in science, do they have to go to California? Is this stuff spreading?
Will it ever come to Denver? Yeah, great question. So, how do jobs work in this industry, and can folks who do the nano degree get a job to work in the industry? Our goal is to help folks get hired in the industry. I was a normal Silicon Valley web software engineer, a Ruby on Rails engineer. And about 3-ish years ago, I got really excited about self-driving cars and started taking classes at Udacity and Coursera and edX and other places, and did a bunch of projects, and I got myself onto the team, onto the autonomous vehicle team at Ford Motor Company's Palo Alto Research Center. And the Udacity folks saw that and said, well, why don't you come over to Udacity and kind of build out what I had done for myself for other people, so that other people could maybe do the same thing if they were interested. It turns out, people are interested, which is great. And I think there is a lot of opportunity for this. You see self-driving car work happening a lot now in the Bay Area, in Pittsburgh because of Carnegie Mellon and the work Uber's done in Pittsburgh, in Detroit because of the automotive industry there, Germany, Japan, India, where a lot of offshoring of automotive work is already done. Those are kind of the big areas. Denver has a really good, a really good tech scene, and there's already some work being done here in mapping. I can't speak to Uber's plans for what to do with this mapping office, but they have a big mapping office, and self-driving cars are coming, so it would not shock me if some mapping work for self-driving cars wound up happening out of this office. Might want to network with some of the folks here if you're interested in that.
I'll talk about that in the end.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, maybe I just, I didn't mean to say anything, spoil anything, or say anything I shouldn't have. I certainly don't know Uber's secrets. They've been a great partner of ours, but I have no idea what's going on with this office. I know one of our students got a job working here in Boulder on their autonomous vehicle mapping team. Might want to hit him up on Slack, Galen Ballou. He wrote a nice blog post about it. So I think there is some work being done here, and I would imagine you might see more over time. I could see some sensor manufacturing work migrating out here. I think you work for Seagate. I wouldn't be shocked if Velodyne and some other companies started moving some of their facilities out to other places, maybe Denver, because it's just so expensive to do a lot of manufacturing work in California. And so I can see some work coming to Denver. I don't know if it will become Detroit in the next 5 years, but there are other places other than California where you can do this work. Texas, a lot of semiconductor manufacturers. One of our partners, NXP, has a big office, the old Freescale office in Texas, where they do a lot of their automotive computational platform work. So you see kind of different work in different places. Some of it is like maybe a little bit more niche, so mapping, computational platforms. There is a lot of opportunity in California, but sorry, I hope I didn't ramble too much. But I kind of see a lot of opportunity for students. A lot of it is in California and Denver, or in Detroit, but I think there is some here already, and hopefully there will be more in the future.
I have a question. What is the state of security in terms of preventing hacking to self-driving cars? And, is there some work already being done on it, to prevent people from hacking into the software and making a rogue car?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So there has been some work done in security for self-driving cars, but it's maybe not as robust as other fields because they're not out in production yet, and so we haven't seen a lot of we haven't had a lot of the experiences with real life in the way that we have for just driving a test car down the street. I've read a lot about different attack surfaces in cars, so I know ride-sharing companies potentially have this situation where there are people who get into the vehicle who are not necessarily friendly people, and if there's no driver there, how do you protect the car against something someone malicious might want to do, or might want to, a problem they might want to leave for the next person to ride the vehicle after they get out. And so there's a lot of work being done on things like OBD2 sensors or connectors and protecting the CAN bus. There's, I think, relatively less work being done right now in network security. There was kind of a famous demonstration put on by, I think, folks who later came to Uber about hacking a Jeep on the highway and kind of just taking it over via the OnStar system, maybe? I forget exactly how they got in. So I think as Ford and Mercedes-Benz and GM and other companies get closer to actually putting these cars into production, you'll see a lot more research into that. But so far, the kind of research has primarily focused on, can we just even get this thing to drive? But it's getting a lot closer to that. And actually, to come back to your question about jobs in self-driving cars. So I came from Ford, and one of the interesting things about autonomous vehicles at Ford, and I think this applies to a lot of other companies, is autonomous vehicles, at the time I left Ford, were in the process of moving from the research division into the production division. And that's a big, big switch for automotive companies. In the research division, they're small teams of very highly trained and specialized PhDs, mostly, who are working on kind of smallish research projects. When things go into production with an automotive company, it's like a freight train. It just doesn't stop. And if there are any problems, you just keep throwing more bodies at it. And so I think that we're going to see over the next few years all these companies that have committed to launching autonomous vehicles by 2020, 2021, 2022. As things get closer, there's going to be a big ramp up of engineering talent into those teams to try and make sure that they can hit their deadlines and go through all the wickets they have to go through on the way to getting a vehicle produced and out the door. So I think we'll see a lot of hiring. Some of it hopefully will migrate out to other places, but the amount of people working in this industry is just going to grow a lot over the next 5 years. So sorry to answer your question and veer back to another question. I'm happy to stick around forever, but I'd like to hear from the Uber folks. Who wants to hear me talk when you can hear someone who's actually working on the problem?
Well, I can talk a little bit about what's going on here and kind of how this fits. Actually, your first slide was actually a really good slide in that you talked about kind of the entry aspects of all this self-driving car work. And this office isn't dedicated to the self-driving autonomy aspects, but from the mapping and mapping data perspectives, we have deep learning, we have computer vision, we have sensor fusion, we have localization problems. All of those are part of the mapping problem as well, right? So in this office, we have a computer vision team. Luming's on it back there. We also have immense amount of resources from the data center up in Longmont. So you're talking about, GPUs, cores utilization, all the things that he was discussing earlier that are kind of hard to do at scale for the Udacity course, like that's what we do every day. And so from a problems perspective and from a domain, like if you're interested in this stuff, like we definitely have applications here that are tangible now. And you know, we are definitely hiring people who are in the computer vision field, especially in machine learning as well. So there, from a jobs perspective, like, you know, autonomy as like a goal, like yeah, there's definitely hubs for that. Computer vision, machine learning, that is everywhere. Like if you make enough progress to have an impact on this kind of stuff, like there are applications out there for you anywhere you want to go to, almost, like especially in the machine learning computer vision field, like hiring for that is crazy competitive. So just as a plug for that. So what is Uber doing here? Like why are we interested in this space? Like why are you hosting these things? Like we're trying to get the word out of what kind of stuff we're doing here. This is not a, you know, driver operations office. This is a hardcore engineering office that's focused on big scale problems that are meaningful to the business that Uber has, right? So major impact, major work going on. And so there's lots of opportunities to kind of get engaged. And so we want the community to realize that. We want people like to be aware of the work that's going on here and like the opportunities, and you know, start cultivating our local expertise and local people that are interested in this space, right? So, so like I said earlier to a few of you, you know, our mandate in this office is sort of mapping data problems. Like everything that Uber's business is ultimately boils down to a mapping data problem, right? Like the pickup experience, the drop-off experience, the nav experience, the ETAs, the fares, everything boils down to a mapping data question, right? So if we want to make that experience seamless and like that magical pickup of you press the button and then right exactly when it says you should walk outside, you walk outside and the car rolls up and you get in the car and you go exactly the most efficient way to your route. Like we want that to work 100% of the time. We have a lot of mapping problems to solve, right? Because even the best data in the world is lacking when you're at that kind of scale. So not only like in the US, which has relatively very good data, but in many of the international markets that Uber operates in that are very important markets, like the data you can license is not great, right? So if we have to figure out a way to improve that, we have to have that capability in-house. And so that means not only working with our data licensing providers like Google, like TomTom and others, but also finding ways to augment that where we can with our stuff that we can't get in any other way. So this office is a big hub for this. Palo Alto is another big hub for us, so it's kind of our sister site. Between the two of us, like we own that problem for all of it. So it's like that's the big picture perspective. Any kind of questions from that perspective? Okay, well, let me know if you guys have any more questions. But thanks for coming and enjoy the rest of the pizza. You guys should take some leftovers with you if you want, and I think we'll call it at that, right?
Yeah, that's good. I think Aaron, so as part of this meetup, we're sort of expanding our social media presence. So we've got a subreddit for links about, I don't know, anything going on in autonomy in Denver would be a great place for stuff like that. And if you want to
Sure.
talk about the other things, and then then that'll be sort of it. And then how long we can leave? You can kick us out whenever you like. So just let us know.
Living here. I think he's here host tonight. So,
Okay.
So yeah, but I mean, ultimately, you know, I think after we're done here, I'm going to take off at 7:45.
Sounds good.
So yeah, I just wanted to mention, you guys probably knew Miles, and he's off to California to do his fun robotics job, and so Nate and I are picking up, sort of trying to run and grow this group, and as part of that, I think one of the directions we want to go, we want to keep getting qualified, interesting speakers, whether they're here or via some maybe satellite live stream we talked about, to come and keep doing this. But in between these meetings, we want to sort of cultivate a group that can, you know, try to build projects, try to do spark fun competitions, play around with things, bounce ideas off of each other, that kind of thing. So we do meet every Tuesday. We're trying to sort of figure out locations, whether or not they're going to stay the same place or move around. He mentioned we set up a subreddit just as a place to be a forum. There's also Slack, which is autonomousdenver.slack.com. Right now, I don't think you can just go there and join, but if you go to the meetup page, you can talk to me or Nate, or send me an email, aaronsmith@fico.com, if you want to be added to that until we make it public. There's also a GitHub organization with no repositories in it. We'd like to try to, if we come up with project ideas, make them open source. If we gather data, make that data open. Essentially, maybe grow this into a group that can represent the autonomous space in the Denver area. And if that's something you're interested in, we would love to have you here. On top of that, we still are invested in the Udacity Nanodegree. So if you're part of that program, wherever you are in the program, we've got multiple mentors. I'm a mentor. Jacob's a mentor. I don't know if there's more in the room. People have been through the program. We're both at the end of term 2. So if you need help with that, this is also a good place to get it. So, yes, should I say something? No? Okay. That's my whole spiel. Since we're wrapping up, I just wanted to say thanks very much to David Silver for coming out. And that's it. Thanks, everybody.
And thanks a lot for Uber for hosting.
Yes.
Thanks, Luming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, Internet.
That's right.
That was the first one.